Hi, I'm Sweet Boy. I'm currently sick and I'm kind of just like in bed right now. Kind of bored, so I thought I'd just make this. I put something on my Instagram story saying, ask me some questions, and I've picked some of the questions and I'm gonna answer them on here, and hopefully you get to know me more, or maybe you already know this, or maybe you don't. I don't know. This is my first time doing this, so let's do it. Also, I just wanted to preface, if you don't know who I am or haven't seen or heard my music and this is like a brand new thing to you, I make music under the name Sweet Boy. These questions will probably make a lot more sense. Um, but yeah. Do you ever feel anxious about being vulnerable in your music? If so, how do you overcome it? Sometimes, yeah. It's weird because I've always kind of made like emotional music, but I feel like being emotional and kind of really putting your feelings out into your music is something that's been done for a long time. And I think a lot of people use music as some sort of escape, or like a vessel to kind of air things out that they might be going through. That's something even I'm still learning today. Like the past like few weeks I've been really deep diving into stuff that's happened in my life and trying to understand it and voice that through music. Like when I first did the first Sweet Boy release, at that time I was genuinely going through something and was upset. It was interesting because I was upset. I was able to put that into music and just put it out, and you know it did its thing. And I even got to a point, like maybe like a year or so later, where I was happy. Like I was in a great relationship. I still am. I live with my friends, moved to a new city. Like I was feeling good, but I had this weird pressure of I had to make sad music. It got to a point where it felt like I was just writing sad things in order to make sad music, and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was like connecting. I think that was when I ended up releasing The Machinist, because I was like, I'm just gonna make something because I love it, not because it needs to be sad. Recently, I've been looking internally at things that I've experienced and gone through and maybe haven't dealt with. I'm using music to try and figure out how I feel about those things, and it is scary, but it's also, I don't know, it's just like I don't have to try and unpack these things and show the world, but I think music is a way that I really enjoy doing that. And I don't know, I think there's a beauty in that. And some people do it in the form of like journaling or painting, or like everyone has their vice, but sometimes it can be scary, having people message you saying, hey, like your music really like helped me, and I was going through this and I was going through that. And you get the weird ones where it's like, I tried to XYZ to your music, and it's like, fuck. It's half half. I wouldn't say I'm anxious about it, but I think I'm very blessed to be in the position I am, and I get to share this with people, and people understand that and they feel the same way as well. So I think there's a beautiful sense of community in that. And I do want to preface, I don't want to glorify being sad. That's one thing I want to make sure I get right. I want to glorify not being alone in those situations, if that makes sense. When did you realize you wanted to do music? So I started doing music, I think I was maybe like 15, 16 years old, and I'm 25 this year. So for a while, I remember I was at school and I ended up leaving to go to a different school that was a trade school. You would go there and you would pick a certain type of trade. Like, I think I was doing like plumbing and electrician. Side note, from a very young age, I was always a very creative kid. I was like obsessed with film, I was obsessed with painting, and like I was never really a strong I was like a skinny, lanky kid. I was never like playing football or like doing sports and stuff. I was like a very like feminine kid. And I think going into high school and like being around just like guys, and you kind of feel like you have to be a certain way and have to be like, I don't know, like a man or like a boy. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to trade school and I'm gonna get a trade. And I remember going there and we had to do work experience, and I went out on like a work site for a week, and I just remember being so depressed, and I was like, what am I doing? This isn't what I want to do. Like, and I remember like freaking out, and I was like, shit, like what am I gonna do? I was like, I think I want to do music, because like I had written like little raps and stuff when I was like younger. It was mainly the production side that I was like really interested in. I kind of just pulled the trigger and was like, you know what, I want to go back to normal school and focus on music. From then onwards, I would just be locked in the music room at lunch, whenever, just making beats and like trying to figure out how they did this for this song and this for that song, and it kind of just stuck. Before I left for trade school, there was like a big group of us, right? And I leave for trade school and I come back, and pretty much all of those kids have dropped out, done trades, done whatever. And I remember coming back and like sitting in the library by myself, and like my girlfriend at the time had just broken up with me, so I was young. I was like, oh my god, my heart has been ripped out. And I'm sitting in like this library listening to like Congratulations by Post Malone, and I was like, damn, this is like so cool. Like the beat is so crazy. Like I just remember being obsessed. And I think from then onwards, it's just been a constant obsession. And I don't know, like I genuinely could not imagine myself doing anything else. I think a lot of that comes from like delusion and believing that, and when people are like, what if it doesn't work, you're like, well, that's not an option, it's gonna work. That was a long-winded answer. Yeah, when I was in high school, maybe like 15 or 16 was when I really decided to chase it. I can go into that a bit deeper maybe in another video, we'll see. I've always wanted to know why you changed your name from Tommy to Sweet Boy. When I was releasing under the name Tommy, I had tried like multiple different genres under that name. I'd been working on it for so long. I was experimenting a lot. I was trying different genres, different sounds. I think I'd just been going for so long, and I was like, you know what, I just want to try something else. And originally, Sweet Boy was going to be a Tommy project, and I knew I wanted to do something with like Sweet Boy as like a title. I remember it like pretty vividly. My friend who I was living with, Damo, he had just changed the guitar strings on my guitar because I didn't know how to do it. Or on my friend's guitar, I should say, that I was borrowing. Shout out Lee. He had just changed the strings, and I was just super excited to play the guitar after that because they just felt so new. And I was still relatively new to playing guitar, and I remember the first thing I made after changing those strings was the instrumental for I Still Think About You, which, if you know my music, you'll know that that's a pretty influential song in my bubble. Yeah, I ended up making that song that night and then posting it on TikTok. I seen people were like, oh, what is this? Like, I want to hear more of this. And I just remember saying to myself, you know what, I'm gonna just put it out under this new name, because why not? Like, it doesn't matter. It's like the world's gonna keep spinning. I'm gonna just put it out under this new name, and like, if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. It just went. And I was like, oh damn. Like, I think Sweet Boy had amassed, I guess, like monthly listeners more than what Tommy had, and I've been working at for so long to get to this point. Sweet Boy just did that so fast, and I was like, oh damn, I did not expect it to have that sort of movement. Yeah, I just kind of ran with it. I was just like, all right, I guess this is where I'm at. And like, would I do it again? Maybe, I don't know. So I didn't voluntarily change, but I do like Sweet Boy a lot. I do like it a lot. And yeah. Any tips to really start getting my music further out than SoundCloud? I mean, like in terms of like releasing, there's like heaps of distributors out there that can like put your music on Spotify and Apple Music and all of those places. I mean, in terms of getting it like out to people, I guess. Like obviously you have like we live in like a day and age where we have all of these like platforms at our fingertips where you could post one thing and it like changes your life. That was somewhat the case for me. I think at the end of the day, and I think some people might disagree with this, but creating good music is always at the center of everything. My friend Kilu, who's an incredible artist, I remember speaking to him about it. I was kind of going through a stage where like I didn't want to post or like I didn't know what to post, and I just felt like I don't know, I felt weird about it. I didn't want to be doing that. And he said to me, if you really love the art or the music, you don't care. As if you really want people to hear it, you will do whatever it takes. I might have butchered that a little bit, but it was something like that, and that's kind of stuck with me. I think there's something beautiful in that where if you're really genuinely proud and you love what you made, you don't care what you'll have to do. You'll start giving it to people on the street, or you'll start posting 5 times a day if that's what you want to do. And like luckily we do live in a world where you can do that. But I also think it's very important to remember artistic integrity. I think that's the right word or the right saying I'm going for. I could be wrong. If you want to make it a world, make it a world. You know, like even like this is something I struggle with where I feel like I need to post on TikTok, I need to post on Instagram, I need to do this. When really I just want to make a world and I just want to have people be able to live in that world. But in this day and age, it's like it can be difficult to do that. I think at the end of the day, most importantly, just make stuff that you love. Be absolutely head over heels in love with it and just chase it. Like, don't let anyone stop you. Just chase it and keep going. And if you want people to hear it, you'll make them hear it. You know, like, I think it's like a mixture, yeah, of just trying your best to be better and improving and practicing and not letting anyone stop you. I don't know. That might be like a really long-winded answer. You might have just been asking like how do I get my stuff on other platforms, but hopefully that helps someone. Hopefully. Car Chaser physical media? Yes. We'll be having physical media of Car Chaser and it will be CDs and I'm not sure when they come out, but they're coming. You've been teasing a lot of new music lately. When are you planning on releasing again? Well, it's been just over a month since I released my first Sweet Boy album, Car Chaser. I am keen to release again. I was just in this world of just like making stuff recently, and I think now, I don't know, I feel like every time I make like a project, like an EP or an album, I just fall like head over heels into this world, and it happens so fast and like so quickly. Like the Car Chaser album, I think was made in maybe like a month and a half, 2 months. It just like happened so fast, and then I start piecing these things together and expanding the world on it. But I think I really want to take my time and really create something that people can be immersed in, make something that feels so authentically Sweet Boy that it's just, I don't want to say timeless, but something where you're like, that is a Sweet Boy album. I don't know, I was reflecting and like looking back on like the Car Chaser record, and I absolutely love that album. I loved making it. It was such a beautiful experience getting to work with my friends and go to LA and have this Airbnb where we're just there for like a month every day working on it. I feel like kind of like what I was saying before about like not fully like feeling like I'm just saying sad things, and it's like I don't know, I think I really want to create a world now where people can relate and people can connect with my music more than just I was sad and he makes sad music. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's beautiful in itself. But I want people to be able to really like genuinely connect and be like, this guy understands. Like, obviously I've been through things that other people might have, and people have gone through things that maybe I haven't gone through, but I just want to create a world where people can genuinely feel safe and connected. And as much as the music might be sad or might be going and touching on subjects that is pretty intense, I just feel like at the end of the day we all love community and we love to be together. I want to create that for people. I don't know. So that's something I've been really mindful of recently, and kind of doing a lot of internal work on myself. And I've been going back and looking at things that have happened in the past, and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about those things and how that might affect me today. And I know people can relate to that and feel that as well, because we're not alone. We all go through these things. But I think I want to really make sure I can create this world, create a safe space for people. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to release new music and put that out in the next few months. I want to make sure it's right and genuine. So yeah, that's that. Will you do a Europe/world tour? I really need to hear your music live. Yes, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm in the middle of sorting out visa stuff, which is always a bit of a journey because if you don't know, I'm from Australia. A very big majority of my audience is from the US, and being 15 hours by plane away is difficult sometimes. Yeah, I'm trying to sort that out as we speak, but I'm very excited. We have our first show here in Melbourne, which I'm very excited about, on the 28th of March, but it's hard because a lot of my listeners are overseas, and I think Australia is a very, very small percentage, so it's scary, but either way, I'm very excited to play some shows and go around the world. I'm sorting it out, I promise, and I will be there, and it will be amazing, and I can't wait to show people what it looks like and what it sounds like. Yeah. I just looked at the time and how long I've been recording for, and I've just realized I've been chatting so much. There's a lot more questions, but I think I'll just save it for another video. I do want to do this more, and I really like coming on here and just speaking, and I hope you guys like it too. If you do, let me know. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't really know how to end these things, but I appreciate you for watching, and I hope you learned something about me. But yeah, be safe, take care of yourself. Bye.